Hello, I'm Andy Cocktaildress from Co-op Culture, and welcome to another in our series of short instructional videos for co-ops, community businesses, and their development workers. This particular series, we are looking at key financial performance indicators, and this particular video is the second part of two videos looking specifically at the gross profit margin. In the last video, we looked at why the gross profit margin is important, how we calculate the gross profit margin, and what it can tell us. In this video, we are going to look at some examples of gross profit margin trends and try to analyze those trends to see what information we can extract from that. So, to remind ourselves, the gross profit margin is calculated by subtracting the cost of sales from the turnover, which gives us our gross profit, and dividing that by our turnover. So what it looks at is the relationship between our gross profit and our turnover. It can't tell us about lots of things. It can't tell us about our overheads. It can't tell us about the volume of sales. It can only really tell us about that relationship, how efficient we are at producing. So it tells us about our pricing policy, our purchasing policy, and the cost of sales. It tells us about our efficiencies. Do we have any wastages? So now we're going to look at some examples and see what information we can extract. As always, when examining trends in any form of financial information, I like to create a graph or a graphical representation to enable us to see the trends easier. So I'm not getting quite so hung up on the actual figures, but what I'm looking at is what is happening, what trend is happening, what is the relationship between what's happening now and what has happened in the past, and can we use that to make any informed predictions about what may happen in the future. So in this graph, what we have on the y-axis is percentages. That's the gross profit margin as a percentage. And on the x-axis, we have time. In this case, years, but the units aren't so important. What matters is time. First of all, if I have any graphical representation of any key financial performance indicators, before trying to explain the real world scenario behind it, I like to try and describe what is there. So what can we see here? Well, we can see a steadily decreasing line. So it starts at 52%, it decreases over 9 years to 47.5%. So this is a small, slow, steadily decreasing line. What is the likely real world scenario that will have given us this? Well, it's going to be one of three things. This is either an issue with our pricing policy, it's an issue with our purchasing and our cost of sales, or it's an issue with our efficiency. It isn't that likely that we will have a slowly decreasing efficiency, or to put it another way, that every year we get worse and worse at doing the thing that we do and we have more and more wastage. That's not one of the most likely scenarios. And in fact, what is the most likely scenario, and what you will probably see if you see this trend in reality, is what has happened is that there has been an inflationary increase in the cost of sales, but the pricing policy has stayed consistent. So we haven't, or actually the level of pricing has stayed consistent. So we have received, it's costing us more to buy the things that we are trying to sell. We are not passing that increasing cost onto our customers. This can be a reasonable marketing decision if this then gives us a substantial increase in our market share. But we need to be aware that it's happening, because we cannot continue this happening forever. And depending upon the nature of our business, whether we are a high volume, low margin business or a low volume, high margin business, this may in and of itself be a bad thing. For more information about the relationships between high volume, low margin businesses and low volume, high margin businesses, please see the other instructional video that is also on this channel. This particular example is exaggerated to create a learning effect, to make the effect easier to see. So in reality, it is unlikely that this would start at 0. So again, let's explain what we could see. So on our y-axis, we have percentages of gross profit, and on our x-axis, we have time, in this case, months. And what can we see? What we see, we start from a very low, in this case 0, but in reality it's unlikely to be 0, but we start from a very low gross profit margin. We rapidly increase our gross profit margin. At 10, we have exponentially smaller increases till we reach a plateau that you may or may not mathematically reach. What is this likely to be showing? Well, this is likely to be showing a significant increase in efficiency very early on, and then as time progresses, a smaller and smaller increase in efficiency. What real world situation is that likely to be showing or representing? New equipment, new processes, new products, new lines, anything that's new, new organizational structures. It's going to take a while for your staff, for you, for your co-directors, for the rest of the workers in your worker co-op. For all of these people, it takes a while for them to embed the new processes and to have maximum efficiency. Why is this important? Well, this is actually really important when you're making financial predictions, if you're doing forecasts. So if you forecast that at the moment you put a new product in, put a new line in, put a new organizational structure in, that you'll be operating at maximum efficiency, then you're likely to be overestimating your efficiency. And that means you're going to have overestimated the gross profit that you made, which means that you're likely to have overestimated the net profit that you've made, which also means that you're likely to have overestimated any cash position that you're going to be in. So that's quite dangerous. When making forecasts for new anything in relation to your business, it is always best to be conservative and to estimate that you will have a much lower efficiency to start with than what you're aiming for, and that will increase over time. The last example for today, again, we have percentages on our y-axis, and we have time on our x-axis. And in this example, we've used years, but actually months would be just as good, or probably better, to see this. And if you explain what you see, we have a relatively consistent line with a sudden dip. That is a representation of a real-world example of a massive increase in wastage that happened at one point. This usually can be explained. So that is the point when, oh yeah, we had a power cut and all of the freezers failed and we had to throw away all the frozen products. There was a flood and we had to throw away a load of stock. There was a fire, and again, the same thing happened. These big sort of cataclysmic events that you really should know why or what happened at that point in time. Why it's important is that if you or anyone within your business, or anyone within the business that you are supporting, can't explain what happened at that point in time, then the most likely explanation is theft. So it's a really good indicator to see if there was either theft, external theft, people coming in and shoplifting, or if there was theft from within your business. So that was the second part of our instructional video on gross profit margin, what it is, what information it can give us, some examples of how to extract that information. I hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any comments about this video, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, please press the like button. And if you wish to receive more, receive notifications of more instructional videos when we upload them, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, see you in the next video.